Hello, we're going to take a look at Chapter 13, Using and Sharing Observations. As we move around the circle of life, there are certain things we must do if we are to learn and grow and live a good life. The first step is to listen. If we do not listen, then we will hear nothing. The second step is to observe. If we do not look carefully at things, then we will not really see them. The third step is to remember. We do not remember things that we have learned. If we do not remember things that we have learned nothing. And the fourth step is to share. If we do not share, then the circle does not continue. So these are things we need to keep in mind as we observe and work with children. If we're not paying attention, then we don't truly hear. If we're not paying attention, we don't truly see. And if we don't work at remembering things, then we can't move forward. Documenting observations of children is the process of telling remarkable stories about the experiences of children. Using this documentation helps us remember the value of being with children. Being with children and documenting what we truly see nourishes us emotionally, it enhances our intellectual curiosity, it sparks interest in development and learning, and it presents us with a wealth of curriculum ideas. We need to tune in to the astonishing things that children are doing throughout their day. They are growing, developing, changing, and expanding their interests. We need to really pay attention and feel the importance of every moment and share them with other professionals, the children, and their families. If we do this, we enhance our own learning by being more attentive to developmental principles and theories in action. Let's take a look at an example focused on exploring light and shadow on page 278 of your book. And it's at the bottom of that page, and you'll see two photos with a light table. We've had the projector in our room all week with a basket of things next to it for the children to explore light and shadow. Haley took this a step further, going around the room and finding other things to try. She was excited when she put the menorahs on the projector, but puzzled when she didn't see its shadow projected on the wall. "Oh, I get it," she then announced as she laid the menorah flat and watched its giant shadow appear on the wall. In that moment, we saw Haley making connections with what she had learned in the past about how the projector lamp and mirrors would interact with objects placed on the glass. Sometimes the things that about children, there are things about the children's behavior are disappointing and frustrating to adults. This is when adults need to reframe the situation from the child's perspective and think about what is happening. What do I need to see that I don't yet understand? What is the underlying source and meaning of this behavior? And what story might the child be trying to tell us? So you have to distance yourself from your emotional reactions of disappointment and frustration and become a researcher. So let's look at the sample teacher research study on page 230 of your textbook. All week, a group of boys in the block area had been enthusiastically focused on creating ramps for their cars. Their play is very active and loud, especially when they line up blocks to crash into at the bottom of the ramp, creating a domino effect. Teachers Deb and Rhonda feel conflicted about how to respond. They're annoyed by this play and really don't like the noise level in the room. Still, they ask themselves when no one is getting hurt and the children seem very involved in the play, should it be stopped just because it's loud and irritating to us? Because they aren't sure of the value of this play and whether they should allow it to continue, Deb and Rhonda decide to adopt the role of researchers, and they watch and listen to this noisy play, taking notes and drawing sketches. One day, after the children had gone home, Deb and Rhonda go to the block area and use this documentation to recreate the children's ramp structures and begin imitating the loud car crashing play. To their surprise, they discover how exciting it is to adjust the ramp so the cars go faster and to experiment with how to place the blocks at the ramp's end and to create a crashing domino effect. They also find that it takes careful planning and placement to position the ramp and the blocks to create the domino effect. And so you go back to that page 230 and you finish reading that example. So if we form partnerships with colleagues, parents, and the children by sharing our observation and documentation, then this will expand what we discover and what we find out. Those partnerships take time and lots of planning to develop and nurture, and we should utilize lots of opportunities to share with these partners by posting our documentation on bulletin boards in the front office and the classrooms, by using technology, and we're going to talk in a few minutes about an app that can help you do that, sending home observation books, creating videos to share. When we include children in the process of creating the documentation, we can make them more aware of themselves as learners. This is an important focus of the high scope educational philosophy of plan, do, and review. So in high scope, what the children do is they plan at the beginning of the day what they're going to explore and discover, then they do it, and then they come back and review what happened. This promotes self-reflection on the details, and doing this process makes the children and their teachers and the staff that work with them more effective at intellectual learning and supporting and facilitating that. As we're doing documentation also, and we're adding captions to photos, it's really important that we make sure that we're being descriptive in the details. So if you have a photo of a field trip to a pumpkin farm, instead of just saying everybody had fun at the pumpkin farm, say once we arrived at the pumpkin farm, everyone ran onto the field, moving from one row of pumpkins to another, stopping to study various pumpkins as they passed each row. So you can see that's much more interesting than the short, non-descriptive caption. And we're going to be doing an application assignment working on captioning photos. So here's an example of technology that can be used to communicate with partners, and this is the Learning Genie app. And this is a cross-platform app. It has a teacher app, and then it has an app for parents. And these work with Apple products, Android. For the teacher app, there's a web portal, and then there's also an ability to email. Now, this is not the only app. This is just an example of an app. So with the Learning Genie app, what you can do is you can communicate with parents, activities that have happened in the classroom, what kind of music you're using, information about books, information about nap time, diaper changes, toilet training, how much children ate, their mood, reminders that maybe they need wipes or diapers, incidents like injuries that happen at school, and then other information as well. And then you can also utilize this app to complete state-required assessments like desired results developmental profiles. And here you can see that they've got some documentation at the top. There is a photo about what was documented at the bottom. And then they have the different domains of development and measures for where this this observation and photo would relate to.